For centuries, the civilizations of the galaxy believed emotions were a flaw. Across thousands of star systems, logic ruled everything. Wars were calculated like equations. Leaders were chosen by intelligence scores instead of passion. Even families were formed through genetic compatibility algorithms rather than love. To most alien species, emotion was dangerous, an unpredictable force that had destroyed ancient empires long before humanity ever reached the stars. Entire cultures had erased feelings from their societies to survive. Anger was considered primitive. Fear was weakness. Grief was inefficiency. Compassion was irrational. And rage. Rage was viewed as the most catastrophic emotion of all. Historians across the Galactic Assembly taught the same lesson for millennia. Civilizations collapse when emotion overrides control. That belief remained unchallenged until humanity arrived. When humans first entered the galactic stage, the other species watched them with fascination and unease. Humans smiled during negotiations. They laughed in dangerous situations. They formed friendships with strangers. They mourned their dead openly. They cried, celebrated, argued, loved, and hated with an intensity that unsettled nearly everyone around them. To the galaxy, humans looked emotionally unstable. Their diplomats showed empathy. Their soldiers formed emotional bonds with squadmates. Their leaders made decisions influenced by moral outrage instead of cold statistics. Alien observers described humanity as chaotic, volatile, even self-destructive. Some predicted humans would wipe themselves out within 2 centuries. Others argued humanity should never be allowed military access to interstellar technology. But despite the criticism, humans advanced quickly. Their creativity exploded across the stars. Human engineers invented technologies that more disciplined species had failed to imagine. Human artists became famous on worlds that had forgotten the meaning of inspiration. Human medics risked their own lives to save strangers from enemy species. Over time, the galaxy learned to tolerate humanity's emotional nature, though never fully trusting it. Still, one human emotion frightened the galaxy more than any other: anger. The alien races had seen human irritation before. They had seen arguments, protests, and military confrontations. But true human rage remained mostly theoretical to them. Humanity had spent generations trying to control its violent instincts. Their own history was filled with warnings about what happened when rage consumed entire nations. Humans themselves spoke carefully about it. They treated anger like a fire, useful in survival, but catastrophic when unleashed without restraint. Galactic psychologists studying humanity discovered something deeply disturbing. Humans possessed emotional thresholds far beyond most intelligent species. They could endure pain, grief, humiliation, and fear for astonishing lengths of time without breaking. But once pushed beyond a certain point, humans underwent psychological transformations unlike anything in known galactic biology. Their bodies changed under extreme rage. Adrenal systems overloaded. Neural inhibitors shut down. Fear responses weakened. Pain tolerance skyrocketed. Humans became faster, stronger, and frighteningly focused. Some alien scientists called it combat frenzy. Humans had another word for it: rage. Most species dismissed the reports as exaggerations born from humanity's violent mythology. That mistake would cost billions of lives. The beginning of the war seemed insignificant at first: a border dispute near the outer Perseus colonies. The Varex Dominion, a powerful militaristic empire, claimed ownership over several mining systems inhabited by humans and allied species. The Dominion viewed humans with contempt from the beginning. To the Varex, emotional beings were biologically inferior, weak, predictable, easy to manipulate. Their supreme strategist publicly mocked humanity during a galactic assembly session, calling humans animals pretending to be civilized. Humanity ignored the insult. They attempted diplomacy instead. human ambassadors proposed resource-sharing agreements, civilian evacuation corridors, and independent arbitration. The Varex interpreted every compromise as weakness. So they attacked. At first, the galaxy believed the conflict would end quickly. The Dominion fleet outnumbered human forces nearly 5-1. Their ships were larger, their weapons more advanced, their military older than human civilization itself. Entire systems fell within weeks. Human colonies burned across the frontier. Millions fled toward core territories as Dominion forces advanced relentlessly. The Varex expected surrender. Instead, humanity fought harder with every loss. Alien war correspondents began noticing strange patterns. Human soldiers continued fighting despite impossible casualties. Medical scans revealed wounded humans returning to battle with injuries that should have left them unconscious. Civilian volunteers flooded recruitment centers faster than governments could process them. Human factories operated 24 hours a day without pause. Entire populations rationed food willingly. Artists painted propaganda murals on bombed city walls before the smoke had even cleared. Parents sent messages to soldiers saying, "Come home alive, but make them regret this." The galaxy still misunderstood what it was seeing. Then came the fall of Arcturus Station. Arcturus was not a military fortress. It was a civilian evacuation hub orbiting a gas giant near contested space. Over 3 million refugees crowded its habitation rings, humans and aliens alike. Medical ships docked there daily. Children slept in emergency shelters built inside cargo bays. Everyone believed the station was protected under galactic wartime law. The Varex bombed it anyway. No warning, no demands, no tactical reason. The Dominion fleet emerged from hyperspace and opened fire directly into civilian sectors. Escape transports exploded before launch clearance could even be transmitted. Entire habitat rings decompressed into space. Emergency broadcasts filled every frequency, screaming civilians, collapsing corridors, children crying for parents who would never answer. By the time human defense fleets arrived, Arcturus Station was a graveyard of burning metal and frozen bodies drifting silently around the gas giant, and the galaxy witnessed something it had never seen before: human rage. At first, there was only silence. Human diplomats stopped speaking during assembly meetings. Human media networks went dark for almost 18 hours. Military transmissions across human-controlled space became encrypted. Fleets disappeared from known patrol routes. Long-range scanners detected enormous industrial surges from Earth, Mars, Titan, and dozens of hidden shipyards. The galaxy assumed humanity was preparing for surrender negotiations or desperate defensive measures. They were wrong. The first retaliation happened in the Varex system of Kelthar. Without warning, human warships emerged inside the system's defense perimeter using experimental jump technology previously believed impossible. No declaration, no speeches. Human fleets attacked with terrifying precision. Military shipyards vanished in nuclear fire within minutes. Orbital weapons platforms were dismantled systematically. Dominion command centers lost communication one by one. Survivors reported hearing human voices on emergency frequencies. Not shouting, not celebrating, but calm. Terrifyingly calm. You targeted civilians. You burned children. Now you learn why humanity fears itself. The attack lasted 4 hours. By the end, the entire Varex fleet sector had ceased to exist. The galaxy panicked. Alien governments demanded explanations from humanity, but no one received responses. Human ambassadors had disappeared from diplomatic stations. Trade routes closed overnight. Human civilians evacuated alien territories voluntarily. Then reports started arriving from across the war zone. Human soldiers were no longer fighting defensively. They were hunting. Dominion outposts vanished without distress calls. Elite Varex commanders were found dead inside supposedly secure bunkers. Human fleets crossed impossible distances without stopping for resupply. Prisoners described human troops advancing through firestorms with injuries that should have killed them. One Varex survivor gave a statement before dying from shock. "They kept coming even after we destroyed their armor. One of them lost an arm and still charged our barricade. They weren't screaming. That was the worst part. They looked at us like predators." The galaxy had feared emotional instability. Now they feared what happened when human emotion became focused. Because human rage was not blind fury. It was grief sharpened into purpose. Every destroyed colony fueled it further. Every civilian death deepened it. Human soldiers carried photographs of lost families into battle. Fleet captains carved the names of dead stations into warship hulls. Entire human populations united with a terrifying level of determination the galaxy had never imagined possible. Species that once mocked humanity now watched in horror as emotional beings became the most unstoppable military force in known history. And still, humanity kept escalating. The Dominion attempted to retaliate with planetary bombardments, hoping fear would finally break human resistance. Instead, each massacre only transformed humanity further. Human scientists abandoned ethical restrictions on experimental technology. Weapons previously banned by interstellar law entered active deployment. Autonomous hunter-killer fleets began tracking Dominion ships across hyperspace. Human cyber warfare systems crashed entire planetary economies overnight. Special operations units infiltrated core Varex worlds and dismantled governments from within. The Dominion had expected frightened, emotional creatures. What they created instead was a civilization united by wrath. Even allied species became uneasy. A famous transmission from a Thalran observer stationed alongside human fleets spread across the galaxy. His words became one of the most quoted warnings in galactic history. "I finally understand the mistake we made. We thought human emotions were weaknesses because they felt deeply. We believed logic made us superior, but emotions are not humanity's weakness. Emotions are the engine behind everything they are. Their compassion makes them protect strangers. Their love makes them cross galaxies for family. Their hope lets them survive impossible odds. And their rage." The observer paused for several seconds before continuing. "Their rage is what happens when something threatens everything they love." The war reached its climax at Earth itself. Desperate and cornered, the Varex Dominion launched a final assault on the Sol system. Thousands of warships entered human space in the largest fleet movement ever recorded. Their objective was simple: destroy Earth and end the war permanently. Galactic analysts predicted humanity could not survive the attack. Even weakened, the Dominion fleet possessed enough firepower to sterilize entire planets. But when the Varex arrived, Earth was waiting. Humanity had transformed its home system into something beyond imagination. Every moon carried hidden weapons batteries. Asteroid belts concealed mass driver cannons capable of shattering capital ships. Civilian vessels joined military formations willingly. Millions of humans volunteered for defense operations, knowing they might never survive. Across Earth itself, cities went dark as the population watched the skies together. Then the battle began. Historians would later call it the Fury of Sol. The fighting lasted 3 days. 3 days of relentless violence, unlike anything in galactic history. Human fleets rammed enemy warships after losing engines. Damaged fighters continued attacking manually after onboard AI systems failed. Ground batteries fired until their reactors melted. Even civilian transports joined combat evacuations under enemy fire. Humanity fought not like soldiers defending territory, but like a species defending its soul. And at the center of it all was rage. Not uncontrolled madness, not bloodlust. Rage born from grief, love, memory, and survival. When the battle finally ended, the Dominion fleet was gone. Not defeated. Erased. The surviving Varex surrendered within a week. The galaxy never viewed humanity the same way again. For decades afterward, alien civilizations studied the war obsessively. Military academies rewrote entire doctrines around human psychology. Diplomatic protocols changed permanently. But the most unsettling conclusion appeared repeatedly across every analysis. Humanity had not won because they were stronger technologically. They had won because they felt more deeply than anyone else. The galaxy had spent thousands of years suppressing emotion to avoid destruction. Humanity had done something far more difficult. They had learned to live with emotion without losing themselves to it. Most of the time, humans showed kindness, humor, compassion, and empathy. They built friendships across species. They forgave enemies. They protected the weak. But when pushed too far, when innocent lives were destroyed, when everything they loved came under threat, human rage became something the galaxy could neither predict nor stop. And from that day forward, every civilization remembered the same warning written across the memorial ruins of Arcturus Station. Fear the species that fights hardest for peace, because once they choose war, nothing in the universe can save you.